This week on the Retirement Quick Tips podcast, I'm sharing with you 40 life lessons I've learned over the last 40 years. Today, I'm talking about lessons I've learned about health. This is an interesting one. I don't know how to phrase this, but I guess the lesson is alcohol is poison, and it is actually a poison. Now, I'm not saying that you should never drink alcohol, but it's interesting because over the last couple of years, I read more and more articles about data on alcohol where the research has changed, where they used to say, if you have certain X number of drinks a day or a week, as long as you were below a certain threshold and you didn't drink heavily or even moderately, you're fine. But newer research is prompting the changing of those recommendations. And I think the Surgeon General actually just put a cancer warning too, because aside from like smoking and I want to say obesity, maybe. Alcohol is like the third leading cause of cancer. That's a newer thing that they're finding out. So the research has evolved over the last few years on alcohol and is pointing to alcohol is worse for us than we think. And I personally notice that when I drink, even if I have like one glass of wine, my sleep is worse that night. I wake up the next morning feeling tired and groggy, and it's just, ugh. And of course, I cannot, at 40 now, even in my 30s, I cannot have more than like a couple of glasses of wine without being like completely hungover the next day. And, that was not the way it was back in my 20s and even into my early 30s. But, I could drink more, have a good time, and I wouldn't really feel the effects that much unless I really overdid it. We had our company Christmas party in December and I was hungover the next morning and I felt like death. And I was like, you know what? I'm just done with this. I don't like feeling this way. It's not like I was hungover all the time, but I just was bored with alcohol. And it felt like a chore to drink alcohol. And my husband doesn't drink. So it's like, well, what's the point? The problem is I forgot to cancel. I had a wine club membership that I forgot to cancel. And then like right before that, around Thanksgiving, I went to this like wine tasting thing and you could buy all this wine on discount. And I bought like a ton of, I have a house full of wine. I probably have like 20 bottles in and around my house right now. And I'm like, I don't have anything for this. What am I supposed to do? So will I ever drink again? I'm going to say maybe. I don't know. But I think my viewpoint on alcohol has changed dramatically over the last, say, 5 years or so. And I'm just not as interested in it as I used to be. The second one is lifting heavy weights, like as heavy as you can, and sticking to a program is essential for overall fitness and longevity. I've been lifting weights since high school, but I never did a program or stuck to anything or try to increase my weight until the last year or so. So I'm trying to lift heavier and I noticed like I am getting stronger. It is a slow process. And then I started doing more research on this. And for men and women alike, women have a hard time thinking that they should lift heavy weights because they're like, oh, I'm going to get bulky. I'm going to look, masculine. I'm not going to. No, that's not true. It's very hard. You have to like take testosterone and do all this crazy stuff to look jacked as a female. And that's just the way it is. So too many women, I think, don't lift heavy enough weights. And there's so many benefits to your longevity, your bone density, and preventing osteoporosis and preventing injuries and being stronger and healthier and having, a good, able body as you age. And lifting heavier weights is a key component of that. All right, the last thing I've learned about health is that it's better to get results slowly if you're trying to lose weight. It's more sustainable than like doing something drastic where you're cutting out all the bad stuff, like no sweets at all, limiting your carbs to, like 20 grams a day, drinking a protein shake for breakfast and lunch every day. Like that sounds like a horrible way to live. And if you're trying to lose weight, which I feel like I'm perpetually trying to lose weight, I'm trying to lose like the last 10 pounds from my baby weight. I'll be like super happy about how I look and my weight and everything about 10 pounds from now. So I'm trying to get there, but I don't want to plunge myself into like this unsustainable pattern of eating that I know I'm not going to stick to. So I don't want to lose the weight and sacrifice and give up everything I enjoy related to food. Results come more slowly, but it's happening. So we'll get there someday. I don't know. Maybe it'll take me a year or two to lose 10 pounds, but hey, that's better than losing it in a non-sustainable way and then putting it all back on and then some. So it's taken me a long time I think I'm finally just realizing that I should just try to do it slowly and gradually and sustainably. That's the most important thing. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Ashley Michike, and this is the Retirement Quick Tips Podcast. By the way, today's Sunday, so I'll be back next week, but I'm going to just continue on. So we're going to do a whole another week of 40 lessons because I got to do like 3 of these a day just to get through them all. So I'll see you next week where I'll talk about parenting on Monday. I've learned a few things, still learning, but I've learned a few things so far, and I want to share those with you. All right. Have a great Sunday, blessed Sunday, and I'll see you next week.